Good evening. Good evening. I hope you are doing well. I hope you had a nice Shabbos in the confines of your home. We hope you're safe and healthy. We continue with Divrei Torah this week between Mincha and Marv. I'm sorry this is coming out so late. We read Vayikra this week. We start Sefer Vayikra tomorrow. I don't know how many people in America are reading Vayikra tomorrow, but we're learning Sefer Vayikra, and the opening word in Vayikra has a small Alef, and I'm sure we've heard many explanations as to why the Alef in Vayikra is small. In fact, I saw in a Sefer that the Sefer Hadoros records that he witnessed the Megala Amukos' notes. The Megala Amukos had 1,000 explanations to explain the small Alef. 1,000. We're not going to go through all 1,000 tonight. We'll share a few, hopefully with a message for the times we are in and now as well. The Kli Yakar explains that the small Aleph is hinting to a din, or I don't know if it's a din, but an idea that children, cheder boys, start learning Sefer Vayikra, because the Medrash says, Yavo Tehorim v'yisasku b'Tehorim. Tehorim, young boys, girls, children should come while they're tahor and learn the hilcha, the halachos of tahor. Korbanos is all about tahara. So the aleph of our learning, the starting off of our learning is Vayikra, is tahorim, is the aleph, so the aleph is small. Okay. There's another explanation I saw. Sefer Otzar Torah, Bilayel Schlesinger from Yerushalayim, has a beautiful insight. There's a Gemara. The Gemara in Sota on Daf Ham and Beis reads as follows. Amar B'Shuv ben Levi. B'Shuv ben Levi says, Bo urei kama gedolim nemuche ruach lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Come see how great are the humble in the eyes of God. Shebishah shebeis HaMikdash kayam. When the Beis HaMikdash was standing, Ad makriv ola schar ola biyado, mincha schar mincha biyado. When the Beis HaMikdash was around, you bring a korban ola, you got the reward for a korban ola. You brought a korban toda, a korban mincha, you got the reward for that particular korban. Avamisha daito shvela, someone whose mind is low, someone who has humility, who acts with the sense of anivos, of humility, ma'alel avakasav kilu, hikriv kol ha-korbanos kulam. It's as if the Torah considers it. It's tantamount to having brought all the korbanos. So in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, you can bring one korban at a time. And when you brought a korban, you got the reward for that korban. But now, when there's no korbanos, a person who acts with humility, so the humility counts or amounts to bring all the korbanos. Says the Schlesinger that now, we're starting Sefer Vayikra, which is all about korbanos. We have the small Aleph, which is Moshe Rabbeinu expressing his humility. Even greater than korbanos. Even greater than the korban, which brings us so close to a HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is a person who acts with humility. This is an appropriate message for Pesach, because as we know, Moshe Rabbeinu's name does not appear in the entire Haggadah, and there are many reasons why, but one is to highlight the humility of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu took us out of Mitzrayim, but Moshe Rabbeinu didn't want mention. He didn't want fanfare. He didn't want the kavod. Moshe Rabbeinu had his name omitted. So to here, the Aleph, the small Aleph in Vayikra, expresses the smallness or the lack of kavod that Moshe Rabbeinu wanted. The Baal HaTurim explains differently. This is really beautiful. The Baal HaTurim writes that Moshe wanted to write Vayikar, not Vayikra, which means God called out to him. Vayikar means it happened. It happened to be that Hashem came to him. Moshe Rabbeinu, expressing his humility, didn't want to make it seem that God was calling out to him. So it happened to be. I happened to pass God. God happened to be here. And God spoke to me. Moshe didn't want the Aleph at all. God said, no. You have to write the Aleph. So there was a compromise, if you will. And the Aleph became small. So asks Rav Shach, I don't understand. Every word, every letter in the Torah teaches us many halachos. Half of Maseches Yevamos is derived from one word in the Torah. Seemingly, says Rav Shach, a big letter has more halachos than a small letter. There's more to the letter. There's more halachos you can learn. So how could it be that Moshe Rabbeinu was willing to be mavater, to push aside, to look away from a full letter in the Torah, if halachos would be lost from that? It says Rav Shach that Moshe Rabbeinu understood that perhaps more important than certain halachos, more valuable to Klal Yisrael then halachos that could be derived from a regular sized Alef is the idea of humility. Moshe Rabbeinu, the greatest man, the Nosei Torah, our leader, wanted to teach us about humility. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu agreed. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was maskim, if you will, to Moshe Rabbeinu. I'm going to allow the letter has to be there, but I'm going to allow Moshe Rabbeinu's message to come across, that there's a sense of humility. I think, certainly over the last 2 weeks and every day that goes by, the sense of humility we have to have in this world becomes magnified 10 times over every minute. To see what has happened from a little virus, from one person in a faraway land, the havoc that it's wreaking, unfortunately, lo aleinu, Rachmana litzlan, and hopefully it'll end soon, B'karov. How could that not instill in us such a sense of humility? That there's a Kadosh Baruch Hu who runs the world, and we're just here to follow along the best way that we can. Hopefully we'll learn the lessons from Moshe Rabbeinu. The message of humility, of Vayikra, has passed out. To realize that there's a Kadosh Baruch Hu in the world, who runs the world, who's Hakel, Agadol, Gibor, V'hanora, and it's for us to just follow. And if we do that, just like the Korbanos brought a sense of Kapara, our Shval Ruach, our sense of humility, can also bring us a Kapara and bring a Yeshua. Have a good night.